Well, morning guys, it's much nicer today. It's been super hot and muggy about a week now, and it's finally cooled off. We had a pretty good storm come through yesterday. It only rained here for maybe 45 minutes to an hour, but it was enough to help get everything cool again. And with all that rain means I got to cut the grass, but that's all right. I don't mind. Chickens are out in the yard bugging me. They like to peck my toes. But I've had the camera, the M50, for 6 weeks now, I guess. I've shot somewhere in the neighborhood of 100 hours of video. Taken probably 500 pictures. And I just thought I'd share some goods and bads, and maybe some uglies with of the camera, and kind of what I think and my overall impressions. Some of the accessories I'm using with it, and some of the accessories I'd like to get just killing a deer fly. So let's get over there where it's a little bit sunnier and talk about it. So I just wanted to start off by saying my general use for this camera is YouTube videos. Second would be just snapshots of the wife and kids and dogs and the typical ongoings out here, chickens, that sort of thing. And then third, probably I'm slowly getting into time-lapse photography as well as astrophotography. So that's kind of the order of priority for me. But I would say 90% of the time it's YouTube videos shot in 1080 at 24 frames a second. So let's start with a few of the negatives, I guess we could call them, with this camera. One is battery life. Not a great battery in this little camera, but you have to keep that in mind, that you have a small camera, you're going to have a small battery. That's why a lot of the professional cameras have big battery packs that go underneath for your grips. It increases your battery lifetime by a lot, but then you're also adding a lot of physical size and weight to your camera. So that's kind of a trade-off. I don't find it a real big issue. Sorry, there's lots of deer flies out today. I don't find it a huge issue, mainly because I'm shooting mostly close to home. I do have a spare battery, and in fact I have another 2 batteries coming in with a USB charger so that I can charge them off a battery bank or plug them into my truck to charge, and all that sort of stuff. So the USB charger will be much handier than the wall charger. So another kind of sore point with this camera is the 4K 24 frames. While the 4K is actually not that bad, the biggest issue with it is, one, you have a crop factor. So you now have a crop factor with the camera, and when you turn it to 4K you have an additional crop factor. So if you're doing this type of video, the talking head, it can be a little bit tight. I have shot 4K, and maybe I'll add a clip of it in here, with me holding the camera out at an arm's length on my Gorilla Pod, and you can see that it's pretty tight to my face, but it is 4K. And you'll also notice kind of the second issue is you lose the dual pixel autofocus. You still have autofocus, but it's not nearly as crisp and accurate as the autofocus is, the dual pixel autofocus. Shooting in 1080 with the dual pixel autofocus, it's always spot on. That box that you can see in the viewfinder, it's always focusing on your face. It's always tracking your face, and I'm gonna say like 95% of the time it's spot on. It's just that good. So that's something to consider when you're shooting in 4K mode, is you lose that. So another kind of sore point with this camera is in 720 120 frames a second, you lose audio. For some reason it doesn't record the audio. Now, I don't think that's really an issue, because generally when you're shooting slow-mos and stuff, you're having some background music, some sounds. You're trying to make a nice clip, so you're generally going to tweak it with some sounds. So to me, it's not an issue, but I just thought I would mention it. So let's talk about the better features of this camera. Get away from the negatives. I'm generally shooting in 1080 at 24 frames. The chickens are just pecking me. They want me to feed them, I guess. And with the dual pixel autofocus, it's awesome. It's really hard to beat. It just tracks whatever you're trying to do really well. I could put the camera down, focus on a chicken, and that chicken can run all over the place and it's going to be in focus. Or my kids doing whatever. I took some clips of my daughter playing in a trampoline, or on the trampoline. So I shot one in 720, one in 1080 24, and then one in the 4K with the autofocus on. So I'll put those clips in throughout the video, and you'll have a good understanding of the video capabilities. Now, I recently started doing astrophotography, which is something I've never done. Never really paid much attention to it, and I really didn't know anything about. This camera works pretty well with it. The only real issues as far as the camera goes are the lenses. I have the 15 to 45 kit lens, and I also have the 55 to 200 EFM lens, and they're kind of slow lenses. They don't open up very well. So when you're trying to do low light stuff, the camera can kind of suffer, but it also has a big part in the lenses aren't very quick. So one thing I plan on doing is buying the Canon EFM adapter so that I can start using the EF Canon lenses. They have a lot of really awesome lenses, so I'd like to pick up like maybe a 10 to 18 or something in that line. I may also just look at a Rokinon 12mm. It's in my Amazon shopping list, or shopping cart, so we'll see how that goes. So all in all, my impressions with this camera are it's great. It's a small little powerful camera. It's perfect for a vlogger like this, talking head style of video, or someone who's walking around a homestead, or doing tutorials and stuff, where you're not going to be moving it around a ton, or the moving you're doing is going to be kind of on a fixed focal point. I'm not sure if you can hear the helicopters or not, but there's a few forest fires around. I can actually smell the smoke. And it's also good for someone traveling, because it is very small and light. Really small and light, as a matter of fact. It's about half the size, or a third of the size of my Nikon D5100. And I think it would be a great companion camera for anyone who already has and shoots Canon. Buy that little adapter, and you'd be able to put all your good lenses on, and you'd be laughing. Kind of the weakness of the whole mirrorless system for Canon is their lenses. They have about 8 of them or so, and there's only one that's a little faster. I think it goes to f2. The rest of them are 3.5 and up. So for this case, you know, generally I'm shooting outside. Even on a cloudy day, there's still more than enough light, and it's not an issue. So another thing that's really nice about this camera is the touch screen. It's a flip out to the side screen, and it tilts, so you're able to get good views depending on where you are. You could be behind it, in front of it, off to the side, up above, down below, and you can tilt it so that you can get a good view of exactly what you're wanting to shoot. It's touch screen, so everything is adjustable pretty much from the screen. I can change my shutter speed, my f-stop, my ISO, my autofocus, and exposure compensation. There's a little red dot up in the top corner telling me that I'm recording. Gives you my battery life, a countdown, like a timer telling you how long you've been recording for. and it works really well. Even in the brightest of locations, it's still bright enough that you're able to see the screen, and I really like that part. So I'm coming from a Nikon background. I have a D5100, I have Nikon rangefinders, I have Nikon rifle scopes, and switching to Canon was something I didn't really want to do. I was kind of loyal to Nikon as far as that goes, but after researching cameras, the autofocus, the dual pixel autofocus, just seemed to set the cameras apart from anything else. And one thing I didn't like when I first got the camera was it kind of goes into a beginner mode when you go into the camera settings, and it's really ugly. It's actually hard to navigate, and I didn't like it. But you can switch it, so definitely switch it. You can get into the settings and adjust things way better. You can set up the menu so that you have your own little menu. Oops, sorry about that, son. You'll have your own menu, and you can customize it. So I have time lapse on there, and I have the movie settings or video settings so that I can quickly change between 720, 1080, and the 4K. And I have my shutter release button set so that it also turns on and off the video recording. So that's about it, guys, as far as the camera goes. I'm super happy that I purchased this camera. It does exactly what I want it to do. It's in a small package, it's light. I can hold the camera out like this for 15-20 minutes with ease. I change arms once in a while, but all in all, I'm really happy with this camera. And like I said, I've shot at least 100 hours of video and 500 or so pictures. So throughout the video, I'm going to put in some video clips as well as some pictures I've taken. Keep in mind, I'm not a professional photographer, just trying to do my best here on YouTube. So if you're in the market for a camera, I give it 2 thumbs up for sure. It's a great little camera. If you want to see the stuff that I'm using as far as my video equipment and camera stuff, check down in the description. I have links to Amazon for all of the gear, from my external hard drives to the memory cards that I use in the camera, the lenses, the mic, my tripods. Pretty much everything's down there, so feel free to check it out. And clicking on the link and ordering it through the link helps me out on the channel, and lets me do other things. So cheers, guys. We're gonna enjoy this nice, somewhat cool day and hang out with the kids. We'll see you later.